Hi, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. A special thank you to my patrons, Wild Rose, Lauren Chris, That British Unicorn, Jam Beans, Debbie Elliott, and D. Higgins. So we've got another Chatty Get Ready With Me. Today we're actually going to be discussing another article that I came across. I do research in this field, so I don't know why I feel the need to explain why I was reading this article. I like to read these articles. There, I said it. Oh my God, I'm a bad guy now. But I came across this article and I thought it was interesting because unlike a lot of the articles where I think I read them and I have a pretty clear point of view on why I think somebody's wrong, this article struck me as being a little bit more complex. So the article is called Why I Felt Compelled to Delete My Transformation Pictures. And I will, of course, as always, link it down below. I encourage you guys to go and read it and formulate your own thoughts and then come back and tell me what you guys thought of my video, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, which points do you disagree with me on, and why. I love hearing other people's points of view because I am not always right. I have been wrong very often in my life, and I have no problem being wrong again. And I want to learn something. So if you guys can teach me something, I am always here for it. Again, I said this before in my other videos, but my mirror is like right here, and I do need to look at it so I don't end up looking like a clown. So if I'm not looking directly at the camera, that's kind of why. I hope that's okay. This is the setup I have. It's the best that I could do right now. Additionally, do you guys care about seeing me do my base makeup every time? Because what I could do is just do my base makeup off camera and then come back and then just do my eye makeup and like color products for you guys, because my base makeup doesn't actually change all that much. For example, I'm using the exact same brush as last time. This is the Sonia Kashuk number 130 brush, and the foundation I'm using is once again the Born This Way foundation. The color I have is Natural Beige. It's fine. This foundation is fine. It's just a little, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this foundation. It's a little greasy on me. It's really nice the way that it looks in the first few hours after I apply it, but then after that it gets really, really greasy. And you know, I don't really like Too Faced as a company. The quality of their products is very, very hit or miss. So I would not really recommend this if you've got oily skin. Like I do. I've got eczema and then I've got oily skin, but if you've got dry skin, maybe this could look nice on you. With all of that rambling, let's get into the article itself. I'm gonna insert clips that I recorded with just my voice reading bits of the article, so you guys don't have to just look at a blank screen. That's always irritated me whenever I watch videos that have like voiceovers in them. It's just like they'll just throw text up and I'm just like, if I'm watching this, like I like to listen to things in the background, so it always like frustrates me because I'm like, oh, I gotta go and read it, and it's just, they didn't give me enough time to read it and I have to pause it. I'll just read it for you. Back in 2018, I transformed my body. For years, I struggled to get lean, visibly muscular shape I wanted. I'd actually wanted to lose weight for most of my life despite being in a thin body. True story, I have diary entries from as early as age 7 that discuss my fear of becoming fat. And from conversations with peers and a plethora of research, I've learned this isn't unusual at all. Of course, my body was still nowhere near perfection. And having grown up in a culture that promises anyone can have a model-like body if they just work hard enough and follow a specific diet, it was kind of disappointing to realize that long, lean legs were never going to be in the cards for me. I'd never look like the celebrities I grew up idolizing. Still, I was happy with and proud of my progress, so I shared my transformation and the lessons I've learned with others. I posted before and afters and my abs on Instagram. I tried not to make it all about my aesthetic transformation. I talked about how all the fad diets and intense exercise routines I tried didn't work. I explained that after putting in the work, I now had a better relationship with food, and I'd finally kicked the cycle of overdoing it and then restricting what I ate to make up for it. I'd realized that by making certain foods off limit, I was actually making things worse for myself, and I wanted others to know how liberating it feels to want a cookie, eat one, and feel totally satisfied, knowing you can have another one whenever you want. Beyond that, I talk about how good it felt to finally hit a 200-pound deadlift and knock out 5 chin-ups. I also shared that changing my body did not fix my body image issues, but somehow I still saw the same flaws 20 pounds later. and I was honest that I was still working towards feeling at least neutral about my body. Once I shared my transformation, I started getting messages about it on social media and via email. For every person who said my takeaways about food freedom and putting progress over perfection helped them keep things in perspective, it seemed as if there were 5 others who had questions like, I need to lose 15 pounds in 30 days, what should I do? Or, how do I get my abs to look like yours? Or, what exercises can I do to shrink my thighs? At the time, I was frustrated. I thought, these people are totally missing the point. I could tell that they were looking at my transformation photos, but not reading my long captions that explained it wasn't all about what was happening on the outside. Maybe they just aren't ready to hear the message, I thought. The real problem was far more insidious, and it took a social uprising for me to realize it. So I understand where she's coming from, right? 9 times out of 10, I feel people will see a picture like that, and they'll just say, yeah, cut to the chase. What's the important stuff? How do I lose this weight? How do I, get what I want out of it? And they don't exactly pay attention to the rest of it, which I can understand why that would be upsetting, especially if you were trying to improve your, relationship with food and you're trying to pass that message on to people where it's not just about aesthetics. I'm using the Erase Paste by Benefit Cosmetics in number 2 medium. Once more, if you've got very, very dry under eyes, this might be good, but I've got very deep set eyes, so like my eyes have like little creases in them, if you guys can see, like that. And so if I wear something like this, it creases immediately. I bought it because my eye circles are pretty dark. I thought this would help. It does help, but it just doesn't set the way I like, and it's really not my favorite. It gets very cakey underneath my eyes. And once more, Benefit, the company's okay. Ethics-wise and stuff, it's fine. It's just, as far as I know at least, it's just that they don't really release a lot of new products, and the products that they do release don't tend to be great, and their foundation shade range is absolute garbage. Anyway, now I understand how if you're trying to have this conversation with people and it's getting lost with them just looking at your picture, not reading your actual description and your caption, how that might be frustrating. But think about it like this. If your entire point here is to try and educate people about this, wouldn't it be better to actually go into the comments and talk to people about it back and forth? I can understand you can't do it with everybody, but I know for myself that sometimes I'll go through, I'm reading something and I'm like, oh, I have a question about this. And I'll go into the comment section and I will look to see if someone else has already asked that question, right? And I'll answer them. And that'll answer my questions for me if they've answered them. So I think that this could be a great way for you to get your message across. And rather than then just reading their captions and then not asking you any question, this way you can elaborate if there's something that they've misunderstood, if there's something there that they aren't sure about, or they don't know how to follow, or if they don't know how to implement it into their own lives. You could perhaps point them in the right direction, even if the right direction is just maybe you want to see a therapist about this. So if that is your point of view, wouldn't it be better to leave that avenue of communication open? Because if people aren't going to come to you, if someone trusts you and they want to talk to you about this and you shut them down, they're not going to not have those answers. They're just going to go somewhere else. And the people that they turn to might be a lot worse. I've said this before a lot of times about, Chantel versus Amberlynn, is that whatever else you want to say about Amberlynn, she leaves her comments up. She says it with her chest. And I can appreciate that about someone, right? Because it can't be easy, reading comment after comment after comment about how you suck, deserved or otherwise, right? And I will say, some of the hate that Chantel and Amberlynn get is genuinely not constructive, it's not nice, and it's not warranted. It's just because they are fat people on the internet. So I can understand, it being hard on them. But she keeps it up because she knows that if she doesn't allow the conversation here, people can and will go over to sites like Kiwi Farms, to Reddit, to Twitter, to other people, commentary channels, comment section, and talk about it because they want to talk about it. That's how people are. We are a very social race as a whole, right? And so shutting down the conversation generally ends up doing more harm. So why would you want to shut down the conversation? Leave the conversation open, leave the conversation up, and engage with people as much as you can if that is what you're trying to do. Because it seems odd to me that she would make this entire article and this entire like post, she's making post after post about, you know, having a good relationship with food and whatnot, but then say, well, you know, if she goes on to say that I'm not an activist, I'm not, you know, that's why I didn't want to have these conversations. Well, that doesn't make sense to me. You wouldn't go out of your way to do all of this if you weren't at least someone who felt passionate about this topic and wanted to you know, disseminate this information. So then why are you shutting down an avenue for people to actually engage with you, especially something like Instagram, right? Where I feel like Instagram and Twitter, people feel like they can have a more genuine conversation one-on-one with the people that they are talking to, as opposed to talking to somebody or like reading about their opinion in like an article or a blog post, or, you know, in a, like for mainstream celebrities, like in interviews or TV shows or whatever, you know? I don't know, it just feels a little counterproductive to me. I am applying currently to my eyelids. I'm applying the Kat Von D primer. I do not supporting anything from Kat Von D. Well, I think they changed it now. They're like kindness, vegan beauty with kindness, vegan discovery, science, beauty now. Whatever. So their stuff, I don't know. They discontinued this. I really liked this when I bought it, and I really liked Kat Von D. This is before her anti-vax stuff came out. And so I bought like 3 of these as backup, and oh my God, this will never end. I've used up 1 tube, and I am like this much of the way through this tube, but oh, it's never ending. It is unfortunately a good product, so I can't knock it on that. Because of my job, I was aware of the anti-diet movement, intuitive eating, health at every size, and fat activism. I'd written about all of them, spoken with subject matter experts, and understood on an intellectual level that weight is not an indicator of health. I also knew that people in larger bodies are treated unfairly every single day, even by healthcare practitioners. But I didn't see the connection between my own work and the photos I was putting out into the world and the messages I was receiving, asking for quick fix diet advice. All right. I don't know why I feel the need to have this conversation with everybody in every single avenue that, you know, weight is an indicator of health, right? Being obese, being extremely overweight are correlated, directly correlated with negative health outcomes. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The why might be something we want to explore, right? Just like there's a ton of other whys that are very interesting. I think to solve a problem, we need to know the why. But the if is pretty conclusively been researched, right? It is. There is no question about it at this point. You either believe the science or you don't believe the science. Okay, the eyeshadows that I'm using today are, these are like my neutral, I guess, singles that I have from Makeup Forever. They're really good. They're very, very good quality, but these are giant, massive pans. If you're an artist and you want really high quality, long lasting shadows, this is what I recommend. Unfortunately, for everyday people, this is just too much. I spent every red cent I earned when I was in college saving up to buy these. A lot of the makeup that I have is actually from when I was in college, which is now been at least a couple of years. And it's bad because I feel like they're just sitting there collecting dust. And I'm not like that weird about shadow products, powder products, because I feel like they last a lot longer and I'm very careful about making sure they're fine. I test them on a regular basis. But like, poor decisions. If I could go back and talk to my past self. I'm just taking this color, which is basically like my skin tone, but like 1 shade darker. And I'm gonna put it through my crease. So weight is an indicator of health. I'm not saying it's an indicator of every type of health. I'm not saying that if you look at someone who's morbidly obese that you can say conclusively that they have diabetes, they have high blood pressure, they have X, Y, and Z. You know, you can't make that determination. That is between them and their doctor. I don't care what your qualifications are. That is genuinely not something that you can diagnose just by looking at somebody. Very few people are capable of it. Many doctors aren't even capable of diagnosing somebody just on appearance. So get the hell out of here. But if you look at someone who is very, very obese, right? You look at someone who is Amber Lynn at 600 pounds. You can't look at them and think, oh, they have this wrong with them. But you are absolutely correct in looking at them and thinking that is not a healthy person. I said it in my other Get Ready With Me, and I'll say it here again, and I'll say it every day until I'm blue in the face, that being healthy means being healthy everywhere, right? Saying that you're metabolically healthy, you're mentally healthy, you're cancer-free, none of those actually mean you're absolutely 100% healthy. Healthy has a definition, right? And we are not just brains riding around in a meat suit. All of us is us. So if there's something wrong with one part of me, there's something wrong with all of me, give or take. It might not be impacting all of me, but that does mean that all of me has an issue. So if my ankle is broken, yeah, it's only going to impact my walking and my ankle hurts, but it's not like I'm fine, but my ankle is messed up. I'm messed up right now. It's my ankle that's the cause of it. You know, like, do you guys see the distinction that I'm trying to make here? Now taking a light plummy color, and I'm going to run that kind of through my crease as well, like very, very softly. This is going to be a pretty overall pretty soft, sort of a little bit more of a dramatic smoky look, but like not harsh at all. So yeah, if you are extremely morbidly obese, then there is something wrong. Either you are putting on weight while you're not eating, or you're eating compulsively, or there's something that's happening, because nobody gets to being 600 pounds, 400 pounds, 300 pounds. Like, you don't get to being that weight unless there is a reason that you're eating in this disordered way, right? Nobody is hungry for 4,000 calories of food. I'm nearly certain that if you're not like Michael Phelps or something like that, where you're just burning a mass amount of calories doing exercise, you are not hungry for 4,000 calories of food. Try eating 4,000 calories of food one day to understand how much that actually is. Don't, like, looking at quantities can really trick your mind into being, oh, it's just 2 burgers. It doesn't look like all that much, but try eating it. It's calorically dense, and a lot of these foods tend to be very, very high, like in sugar and in oil, and you'll feel absolutely revolting at the end of the day. So no, you are not healthy. And someone looking at you and saying, oh, that's not a healthy person, they are not wrong. As long as they're not diagnosing you, they are not wrong. In reality, I had not only pursued a body that perpetuated diet culture, a belief system that values weight and appearance above all, but by sharing photos that put my leaner body on a pedestal above my slightly larger body, I had amplified a system that had already done me so much harm. This is something that I've never really understood about fat activists, honestly. Like, overall, generally, if you guys can explain it to me, I would really appreciate it. Say somebody works out really, really hard, right? And they lose a little bit of weight. They lose a lot of weight. They just, or, you know, whatever, they just become really, really buff. They've now got defined abs. And they put up a picture saying, hey, I did all this work and look how I look now, right? Unless they say, look how terrible I looked before and look how great I look now, where they're actually placing one type of appearance over another. Why do you assume that anybody posting before and after pictures is saying that my old body was terrible, right? Why do you make that assumption? What is the correlation there? Like, people can have aesthetic goals, right? Like, people who get lip fillers, do you like ask them, did you think that your old lips were bad? Did you think that your old lips were ugly? People have breast augmentation. Do you tell them that, did you think your old boobs were bad? You know, people get all manner of things, and people get their hair cut. Did you think your old hair was like bad? Well, in my case, my old hair is bad. My hair right now, you'll see when I take it down, I have a pickety witch haircut. My hair looks absolutely atrocious. But what I mean to say is, if that is not an issue for any other form of body modification, whether it's haircut, piercings, or even just something as temporary as applying eyeshadow, then why is it a problem for somebody who is trying to lose weight? Now, I understand that, you know, not everyone can lose weight, but by that logic, not everyone can afford makeup or expensive haircuts and hair dye jobs or getting lip fillers and cheek fillers. So I understand that one can be emotionally a little bit more taxing, but I don't get this distinction of saying that, well, you know, I was placing my new body above my old body, because I don't think that's what the majority of people are doing. I think that if you worked your ass off, literally, to look the way that you do, then you get to be proud of it. I think everybody should be proud of the way that they look. I think everybody should be happy about the way that they look. But if you have worked so hard in exercising, eating right, doing all those things to get to where you are now, even if it's not something that I find very attractive, like, I don't think very, very highly muscular people are very attractive, right? Like I don't know if that's like a mean thing to say, but it's not my aesthetic. It's just not something that I appreciate, like pleasurable to view, if that makes any kind of sense, right? That doesn't mean that if I look at somebody who's on stage in a physique competition, I won't at least feel admiration, because god damn, is it hard to get that kind of muscle definition. I can admire the work that they've put in without thinking I want to look like that. So I don't understand what's wrong with them being proud of their body. I think that if you work that hard for it, you should absolutely be proud of your body. And once more, my personal opinion is that you should be proud of your body, even if your body isn't the healthiest, you know? Because loving your body is the way that you can go about changing it. Loving your body means loving yourself. And that's where like real sustainable change comes from. Real sustainable change doesn't come from, I despise everything about the way that I look and that's why I want to change it. Honestly, that's why they do a psyche valve on people who want to get plastic surgery, is to make sure that's not the place that they're coming from. Because if you hate your body that much that you're willing to do anything to change it, nothing is ever going to be satisfactory. No amount of lip fillers, lip injections, butt injections, nothing. I don't know if you get injections in your butt, I'm sorry. But like no amount of cosmetic surgery is ever going to fix what you think is wrong with you, if what's wrong with you is just that you hate yourself, because that is not something surgery can fix, sadly, you know? So I don't understand why this is always such an issue for people who are with the intuitive eating fat activism movement. If someone here understands it a little bit better and would not mind educating me on it, I would love to hear it. Once more, not closed off to the idea, because maybe there is an intricacy here that I'm missing, but the way that I see it, I think it's great. If you're proud of your body, you should talk about it. If you want to, you know, take a bajillion selfies and post every single one of them online and being like, look at those guns, you should do it. I mean, just the same way that if you get lip injections, you should take a bajillion selfies and be like, look at those bad bitches, I just got them done. Which, by the way, I've kind of always wanted lip injections, like in a kind of vague kind of way where I don't think I'm ever going to follow through with it. There is a level of maintenance that's required in most of these aesthetic things that I don't have the energy for. And I know what you're thinking. You are sitting on here applying 14 pounds of makeup and you're talking about not having enough energy. That is different. This is meditative. Getting your lips done every 6 months, remembering to go in and watch them just sort of like deflate, I think, like it would just upset me. If I can just do it one time, even if it's like expensive, I would do it. Like, I want to get like LASIK eye surgery. I'm very blind. So I want to get LASIK eye surgery and I'm going to fix it and then it'll be done and then I don't have to ever worry about it again. That's what I want. But this is not a one-time fix. And I don't even have enough energy to go get my nails done on a regular basis. Like, I'm that kind of lazy, so. But I've always asked my clients and those who sought my advice to consider why they want to lose weight. And I don't mean fitting into a certain size of jeans or a specific number on the scale. You've got to go deeper. Is it because you want to feel a certain way about yourself, be more comfortable in your skin, change how other people perceive you, improve specific health markers, live longer, and could you accomplish those things without losing weight or trying to change your body? For many people, the answer is yes. So the last color I'm applying is kind of like this shimmery, purpley kind of a color. I'm going to apply that all over my lid. It's very pretty. So a point that she makes here that I kind of want to discuss is this point of asking, can I do this without weight loss? So I don't like that question. I don't like the fact that you are asking your clients to consider this question, right? If someone comes to you, especially if you are not a doctor, and someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to make this change in my life, and you say, I understand, but have you considered doing it without making this change? Like, you're not qualified to judge their answers. I think one of the videos that I've gotten the most amount of hate on was my Chikara transformation videos, where I talked about how she's not qualified to diagnose OPS. And I had a bunch of people saying, well, OPS is, you know, overweight, and therefore she cannot talk about, you know, therefore she doesn't know what she's doing, and Chikara, you know, has lived the life and she's a trainer. That my point wasn't that Chikara can't give her opinion. She can absolutely give her opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I give my opinion on things all the time, even though nobody asks me to. I think the reason why that video upset me was, outside of the fact that she essentially just dismissed slow and steady weight loss, which is what I think everybody should be doing, it's also because she's making judgment calls here directly on another person. I make it clear in my videos that I'm never talking directly to one person. I'm talking to the audience that watches them, that does not have the ability to go see a dietitian, that cannot afford to go pay a bunch of money out. Because I was in that position. I could not afford a team of healthcare people. I could not afford a therapist, a dietitian, a doctor. I couldn't go see them. It just wasn't in the cards for me. And I lived like that for a very long period of time. And all the information I had available to me was whatever I could read and find on the internet. And you know what? Most of that information was garbage. So I kind of want to help people who are in that boat, who want to do better, who are trying to do better, but unfortunately only have so much information available to them. And not everybody has the ability to read scientific articles correctly, which is not to say that I think people are stupid. I just think that there's a certain amount of training that you kind of need. You can teach it to yourself, but it takes a little bit of time before you can become proficient in something like reading medical studies, right? Because they might say you might think they say one thing, but they actually are stating another, and they'll use terms like conclusive and like evidence and okay, I'm being really stupid right now. But what I mean is that sometimes when they talk about the evidence found in there, they'll talk about it in a way that makes you think it's a lot more solid than it is. And then also things like people will put rat studies as being very conclusive evidence for X, Y, and Z. And they're not. Fun fact, we are not rats. So you just want to be careful, right? And I wasn't in that space either. I didn't have the ability to read a scientific study when I was in college and be like, oh, cool, this is what they mean. This is what I should do. And even if I did, I would not have known where to look, right? So I want to help those people. But what I think Shakara did and what I think I was trying to communicate, maybe I did a poor job, was that you can talk to your audience. You can tell them that, in my opinion, this is what I think you could be doing. That might make a difference. But if you're talking directly to OPS and you're saying, don't listen to your healthcare professionals and instead I know better, then that's an issue. And I think this is what this person is doing too. You don't know their healthcare situation. You don't know how difficult it was for them to go see a doctor, for them to talk themselves into going to get a personal trainer, which is, I think, what this person is, and trying to get their medical needs addressed, trying to lose weight. Maybe it's for their heart condition, right? And the doctor said, hey, you have a choice between getting medication and, losing weight. And they thought, oh, I'll take the medication. But the doctor's like, these are all the side effects. They got freaked out. And they're like, all right, I'll go see somebody who can help me lose weight. And they find this person, and this person says, okay, but can you accomplish this without losing weight? And they're like, oh yeah, shit, I can. I guess I should just not try and lose weight. And that's not helpful, because you are not qualified to judge their answers. You are not qualified to be giving them that kind of advice. That is between them and their doctors, their team of actual medical professionals who know. Now, if you want to help them lose weight in your goal, what you can say is, do you have doctors that you're talking to about this? And you could maybe try and see if you can speak to those professionals and see if maybe you can learn something from there about their mental state. That would be okay, I think, as long as you have the patient's permission. But just asking them these questions and then basing your decisions on that is not okay, in my opinion. If you are not that person's doctor, you don't know their health conditions, you are not qualified to make that kind of determination. And I think ultimately you are doing more harm than good in that case. Once more, this is my favorite lipstick / face product. Bikini bottoms from the Safiya, Nygaard, and ColourPop collection. Look at my sad little nubby. This is like all the, I can't roll it up anymore. There's all the way rolled up. I'm so sad, guys. It's running out. I'm a little stressed. If anyone has a good dupe for this in formula and color, please let me know. But ultimately, I've decided that putting my personal before and after photos out there does more harm than good. Why should I publicly upload a standard that did me so much damage and does immeasurably more damage to those in marginalized bodies? If you find progress photos helpful, by all means, take them. Even share them if you want to. But I'm clear on my stance about my own personal transformation pictures. Health is about so much more than isolated moments in side-by-side photos, and it's time I start representing that more. All right. The last thing she basically just says is that she's taking them down because, you know, she doesn't want to contribute to negatively harming people. And here's the thing. I don't think this person is, I don't think she's a bad person. I don't think she's doing this because she's like a negative person and she's trying to harm people or anything like that. I think most people in this space are coming from a well-intentioned place, right? Very few people that I've seen are actually coming from a malicious place. Even Freely, who I severely dislike, I don't think is necessarily malicious. She's just doing a ton of harm by being ignorant. The problem is that this comes across as very virtue signaling by saying that, oh, well, I'm going to take it down because I don't want to contribute this. You're implicitly saying that you are leaving it up and you might be contributing to harm and it might be okay for you, but it wasn't okay for me. Now, and I realize that's not what she's saying, but that is the way that it strikes me. And additionally, she made an entire article post about how she doesn't want to have her pictures out there anymore because she thinks that it harms people, right? You made an entire post about it after you had already deleted your pictures off of Instagram and left an entire caption. You're bringing more and more and more attention to this. And so once more, it strikes me as, oh, like, look at me, look at the good thing that I have done because I am a good person, because I am an ally. And it comes across as a little bit like virtue signaling. Oh, by the way, I put a little bit of dark here because you guys can't tell. Your girl's got a 5 head, not even like a 4 head. So the color there just sort of helps make it look a tiny bit smaller, especially when my hair is down. And here, you guys want to see my awful like bang job that I did? I cut like, there's more, but this is, I cut it all. It won't even lie flat. I don't even know how much you guys can see it, but it won't lie flat. It's awful. That's what I mean. It just sort of stands up like this, like a halo of frizz around my head. So you don't do all of this unless you want to bring attention to your article. You don't do all of this unless you want people to acknowledge what you are doing, right? And since you already made a post about it, I think that would have been a good enough place to end it. But you didn't end it there. You went on, you made an article about it, and you want to talk about it more and more. And it strikes me as being, I don't know, it just struck me as being a little odd. That's all. It just struck me as coming across as a little bit holier than thou, because of how much attention you're trying to draw to this action. All right, the last part I want to talk about is one that I've actually left right towards the end because I think this is a really serious topic and I don't want to get it muddled in with everything else. Here's the thing. Racism is not a small thing. It's not an easy thing to talk about. It's a really complex topic and it has a lot of very insidious roots. I know there's people out there who don't believe that institutional racism, internalized racism is a thing. And it's just easy to just be like, well, I'm not racist. I don't see why it's so hard for you to not be racist. There's a lot of people who don't think that they're racist, but they'll still do things like put their phones into their pocket if they're walking by a person of color or judge Black people more harshly than they would people of other ethnicities. There's a lot of small things, right, that you experience, like, I forgot what store it was, but I was in a store somewhere, and I entered at the same time as another lady, my same age, and she was a Black woman. And I remember the weirdness of it, that no one thought anything about me being in the store, walking around, completely unsupervised for the most part. But there was a sales associate that basically followed her around the entire time. Now, I was 19 years old, 18 years old. I should have said something. I didn't. That is my own personal shame to live with. But 100% that was racism, right? I don't think that person who was following her around thought anything of it. And much like me, it was something that I recognized at the time, but I didn't do anything to amend the situation. So when you say that, you know, this stuff is linked, that like fat phobia and racism is linked, understand that linking those two issues together is not a small thing. It's not a small step. It's a very, very serious issue. Racism is a very serious issue, and it deserves all of the momentum that it currently has and more. It deserves so many more people talking about it, right? I think every person should try and work towards fixing the institutional problems that we have. But when you go and assign every problem that we have in the world to racism, you actually do it a disservice. Watering down the meaning of something basically renders it ineffective. Calling everything racist means nothing is racist. Do you understand what I mean? So I read this article, and she talks about how fatphobia has roots in racism. And she links to another article there too, which I read, and that article itself didn't explain anything. I'll link the original article down below. The link should still be there. So if you guys want to go and read it, I highly recommend it. And you can come back and tell me if I'm wrong, which I'm totally okay with being wrong. Said it before, I'll say it again. I have no issues with being wrong. She also has a few books that she links. I haven't read the books. If any of you have read the books, please do let me know. I think one of my favorite creators, Michelle McDaniel, said that she's planning on reviewing one of the books recommended. So depending on what her review says, I might go through and read it. Or if you guys are interested, I might go through and read the books. I'll like put a little thing here that tells you the name of them. I don't remember at the top of my head. I'm sorry. I just think that linking things that don't deserve to be linked together is not helpful to either movement. You can say, I think that, fat phobia is the same as racism, but they're fundamentally not the same, because I will never be less brown. I will never be less a minority. No matter what happens, I'm always going to be a minority. But you can lose weight and you can be thin. So if it's not something that you cannot change about yourself, then I don't think it has the same gravitas as racism. And I really wish that fat activists would they would just stop with that nonsense. Now I know why they do it, because they want more people under their umbrella. And black activists are some of the most influential, the most well-spoken, and the most I want to say they're the best at enacting action. So I understand why they would want to pull some of that power away from that movement and towards themselves, but they're still doing it harm, because a lot of the people in their community are also members of the black community. And I just don't like what they're doing. It feels very insidious and it feels mean. It honestly feels a little mean. All that is to say that, look, if you want to take down your pictures because you think that people are getting the wrong idea about what you're trying to promote, go for it. I think that's a perfectly fair and honest understanding. As long as you understand that the internet is, of course, forever. And even if you delete something off the internet, if you've put it out there, it will always be out there, right? But virtue signaling that everybody should do so, and trying to essentially just sort of cast doubt on the whole entire idea of transformation pictures, I don't think is helpful. I think people should be proud of their bodies, no matter what their bodies are. Whether their bodies are heavier bodies, whether their bodies are skinnier bodies, whether they're very muscular, or whether they're extremely, lean. I think everybody deserves to be praised and recognized, and especially if it's a body that you yourself have had issues with, right? I think even then it deserves even more kudos. I think even more people should encourage you to put your pictures on there. And just like when people who are anorexic in the past will put up pictures of themselves now at a happy, healthy, flourishing weight, I think that people who were fat before or were maybe lean and now have become, muscle bound, I think they also deserve that kind of praise, because whether the work was physical, where you had to work out and eat right every day, or whether the work was mental, where you just had to let go of your eating disorder and get the help and put in that kind of mental work, I think work is still work, and I think it still deserves to be recognized, and I think that people deserve the kudos that comes with putting that kind of accomplishment online. and taking that away from them on the basis of, well, it could negatively impact some people. Yeah, that's fair. Maybe it could. Maybe your progress will hurt some people, and that sucks. But you have to also look at it from what is best for you. And if what's best for you is putting that on there, and that's what makes you feel good about yourself, that's what makes you happy, and that's what you think will inspire others, then I think you're well within your rights to do so. Even if there's a small segment of the population that it might not be good for. And you know what the great thing is? If you don't want to see those kinds of pictures, if you don't want to see those kinds of images, you simply just don't have to look at them. If I come across something like, I cannot look at anything. I can't watch any movies anymore that have like violence towards kids, right? Like there's a lot of things, shows that use that as a kind of point of pointing out how bad somebody is. Well, they'll be like violent towards children and animals. And the thing is that I have a lot of really tiny people in my life, and I love them very, very much. And I cannot, 100% cannot watch it anymore. Like I just can't. I can't do it. I'll have nightmares about it for days. And I'm someone who loves horror movies. So it's a little bit, it's hard for me now. I think I was watching like Dracula, and they had that scene where there was like a vampire baby crying, and even that was hard for me to tolerate. Last but not least, we're gonna finish this look off with a little bit of red lipstick because I'm feeling it. I think I'm gonna wear this is my favorite red actually. It's Rita in the Audacious lipsticks by Nars. There's two that I have by Nars that are this is Rita, and there's another one called Charlotte. They're both lovely, but Rita is by far my favorite. Look at that, beautiful, gorgeous, bright red. Ugh, I love it. I know people like burgundy more, but this is my type of jam. What do you guys think? Okay? Yeah, I think it looks pretty okay. I'm not wearing any highlighter. I think the blush is pretty glowy, and I kind of want the focus on my lips. I'm going to go with very large, very in charge earrings, you guys. All in all, I don't think that anyone should be dictating how other people live their online lives. And that's what this article came across to me as, right? It came across to me a little bit as virtue signaling. It came across to me definitely from the point of view of fat activists as saying, well, if something makes me feel bad, then no one else should get to do what they want. And there's a reason why we have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and why we essentially just let people be and let people do what they want, right? I think that if I'm not actively harming anybody, if I'm not calling other people names, if I'm just sharing my own life, then I understand even if it hurts some people, I don't think it's fair for you to tell me that I can't share that information. And this was kind of like a read between the lines sort of a thing, where she's not saying that's what she's doing, but that's kind of what she's doing. What do you guys think of the earrings? Nice? Yeah? I like them. And there you go. That is the entire completed look. It's a little bit more of a like a neutral holiday glam with a pretty simple eye, and the focus being on like a bright red lip. I have a pretty warm undertone, so I chose a warmer red lipstick because I think that suits me better. But if you like a cooler lip, if you like a cooler red, go for a cooler red. I think this is a pretty mild neutral colored eye, so I think pretty much any shade of red would have gone with it. And that will be it from me. I'm a little bit conflicted on this article because I fully believe that she's well within her rights to remove the article, but I also feel like I'm reading a tone into it that might not necessarily be there, and maybe I'm wrong. So I really, really would love your opinions down below. Please let me know what you think of this, especially if you've gone and you've read the article. I would really appreciate it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, you can give me a thumbs down. That's totally okay. I appreciate everybody's opinion and I respect them. Leave me a comment down below if there's something you'd like me to really, really know. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when I upload any video right away. I've got all my social medias linked down below. I've got Instagram, where I've got all the food that I'm making and all of the places that I'm going. Right now, I'm not going anywhere, so it's mostly just food. But I'm a pretty okay cook, so that's where you can find that content. I've got Twitter, where I'm a little bit toxic and a little bit petty, and I've got all my opinions on there. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, that's where you can find it. And I've got Patreon. Think of Patreon as the tip jar for the internet. So if you like the job that I'm doing here and you would like me to continue, that's where you can do it. You can toss a few coins in my direction and you can really help a girl out. And all of your funds today will go directly towards buying me more concealer. I've got the worst eye circles known to mankind. And y'all saw, I'm running out, guys. It's getting pretty low, okay? I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace.